Am I the asshole for spending 4th of July with my boyfriend instead of my mom? Here's the story. I'm 21 years old and living at home for the summer. My mom had not stated any plans for the 4th of July evening. A mutual friend of my boyfriend's and me invited us over to her place for the 4th of July evening. I thanked her and accepted. Today, I told my mom what my plans were. Up until this point, the 4th of July wasn't even talked about between us at all. She told me that I should be spending the holiday with family. She started crying and telling me that I don't care about her. She told me that she doesn't want to be here anymore. She told me that I don't care about our family. Am I the asshole? I texted my therapist and she told me to keep my original plans of going over to the friend's house. On the next episode of Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for packing my roommate's things and leaving them in the hall while she was at work? Here's the story. So, my best friend has been living with me for months since her parents threw her out. At first, things were fine, but slowly started to change. She has some mental illnesses, which I appreciate and understand, but she went off her medication, stating she could not afford the co-pays, which didn't make sense to me, as she could afford to eat out nearly every night. Eventually, going off the meds turned her into a different person. She would drop her insulin needles on the floor, and no matter how many times I reminded her not to, as I have a cat, she just said she either didn't notice or forgot because she's spacey. I am not checking for dust with a white glove, but this is my home, and the place was consistently trashed. She never did her own dishes, left trash everywhere, and half-eaten food in the fridge for weeks. It got so bad, I either had to clean up her messes or deal with roaches. There would be many days she would be in an awful mood, and I could do no right. If I gave her space, I was ignoring her and hated her. If I tried to talk to her, I was nagging and pestering. Eventually, I got fed up. I had tried over and over to have a conversation with her and ask for just minor changes. Get back on your meds. Stop taking out your bad moods on me. For the love of God, just clean up. We have roaches. Her paranoia had gotten so bad, she accused me of being her online boyfriend and catfishing her for over 8 months. Finally, one night, when she was in a particularly bad mood, she crossed a line regarding my cat. I simply could not take it anymore. She worked 12 to 7, and last week, when she left, I called a friend, and we packed everything she owned as nicely as we could and stacked it all in the hallway. I then blocked her on everything, locked my door, and waited. She got home, saw her things, and threw a fit. She was banging on the door for over 3 hours. I did not leave or respond as I didn't think there was anything to say. Eventually, she called her parents and went back there. At the time, it seemed like the best, cleanest, and safest way to do this. But some of my other friends think I was too harsh, and I should have given her more time or another ultimatum. I hate hurting people, and I feel awful, but I was ready to check myself into the psych ward, and I couldn't handle that line ever being crossed again. So, Reddit, am I the asshole? On the next episode of Am I the Asshole? Here it goes. Am I the asshole for calling my sister-in-law out on leaving my house with my baby shower gifts and causing her to be shunned by my in-laws? Here's the story. Me and my husband are expecting our first baby together. In case it's relevant, my husband comes from a well-off family. while I come from a poor family. I'm not ashamed to say it, and have a great family I wouldn't replace for all the money in the world. My in-laws are great too. They treat me good, save for my brother-in-law, Austin, who likes to point out how beneath his levels I am, although his wife comes from poor family too, and they are also expecting. My sister planned a baby shower for me. It wasn't fancy, but was affordable and great. My sister-in-law showed up empty-handed and criticized my baby shower party up and down and talked about how glamorous hers will be. She asked my sister how much the party cost her and joked that the dress she wore cost probably more. She was acting rude and arrogant to my family and friends, but none of my in-laws said anything. My sisters put the gifts in the other room, then we continued celebrating. After the party, my sister notified me that there were a number of gifts missing, including the one she bought. We looked around and she couldn't find them. I checked the camera footage and saw my sister-in-law walking out with several gifts that were given by my own family and friends. I was fuming. I called to confront her and ask her to bring the gifts back, but she denied and was hurt that I accused her of stealing from me. And she said she'd tell the family about me lying when I insisted. I told her I have a video and have no problem involving the family too, to see who's at fault. She hung up and I waited, then shared the footage with all of my in-laws. It blew up and many of them shamed her for what she did and told her to give the stuff back. She still didn't respond, but Austin was livid and called to ask about the nonsense I fabricated about his wife, and called me gross with a wild imagination to even think that his wife would steal cheap gifts from my low-class family, much less have the gall to go lie to his entire family about it and cause his wife to be publicly shamed and shunned. Mother-in-law was so upset too. She said I messed up and I should have resolved this privately instead of going nuclear and ruining sister-in-law's relationships over a few gifts, and offered to pay for them if I take the post down. My husband was out of the country. She said she'd call him personally to tell him to handle me when I refused. And she said, just wait until he gets back. But he reacted differently. He even got into an argument with Austin and told him his wife was the cheap one for stealing his baby's stuff. I got my stuff back, but haven't heard anything from my sister-in-law. Mother-in-laws said sisters-in-laws doesn't steal, she's better than that, and I shouldn't call it stealing, so she must have had another reason. She is on Austin and his wife's side after he argued with my husband. I feel like I just drove a wedge in my husband's family for this. Am I the asshole? If you've enjoyed these stories, please be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and to comment which story was your favorite. Queen Reddit.